Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into the world of shamanic energy medicine with Shaman John Rasmussen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and specifically his unique approach, which we've gleaned from his website, The Soul Algorithm.
Okay.
Shamanism can be kind of a mysterious topic,
Yeah, definitely.
but his FAQ section actually lays things out in a really clear and practical way.
Interesting.
It's like getting a glimpse behind the curtain, you know?
Right.
So one of the things that really stood out to me is that Rasmussen is all about results. Like he's very upfront about his work, producing tangible changes, even for people who've tried like everything else.
Wow. And what's fascinating is that he even describes himself as a skeptic.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost like he's saying, you don't have to believe in this for it to work, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
So if it's not about belief, then how does he explain how it works?
Well, he talks about working directly with the energy body, which he calls the aura or the soul. And it's not about changing your thoughts or beliefs or anything like that. He actually compares it to a doctor suturing a wound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's direct intervention, but on an energetic level.
So how is that different from other modalities like
Mm.
Reiki or massage?
Right.
Because he mentions those in the FAQ, right?
He does.
Yeah.
And he acknowledges that they can be effective,
Mm-hmm.
but he sees them as working more on the physical or the mental levels,
Okay.
while his shamanic approach is more comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
It addresses like the physical, the psychological, the emotional, and the soul.
Oh, wow. All in one go.
All at once, yeah.
So that's how he combines multiple sessions in one.
Exactly.
It's not just a time saver, but it's a multi-layered approach.
Yeah,
I see. But what does that actually look like for someone going into a session?
right.
What can they expect?
Well, he starts with what he calls tracking.
Tracking.
Yeah, this is where he gathers information and insights about you.
Okay.
But he doesn't really go into detail about how he tracks.
Interesting.
Does he use divination tools?
Good.
Does he enter a trance state?
Yeah.
I'd love to know more about that process.
Me too.
Yeah.
It definitely adds to the mystique.
For sure.
He also mentions these energetic initiation rites, which sound pretty intense.
Yeah, those sound pretty wild.
What are those all about?
He doesn't elaborate on those either, unfortunately.
Oh, bummer.
They're part of the ancient Peruvian lineage he trained in, but it would be so fascinating to understand what those rites actually entail,
Yeah.
and how they inform his work.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit.
Yeah.
He compares the session experience to ayahuasca,
Okay.
but milder.
Uh-huh.
Does that mean you're like tripping out in his office?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And luckily he addresses that directly.
Okay. Yeah.
So he doesn't use any substances in his sessions.
Gotcha.
What's interesting, though, is that people report having similar experiences to plant medicine journeys.
Like what?
Visions, insights, that sort of thing.
Wow.
But in a more grounded and gentle way.
Hmm.
It's like he's able to access those deeper realms of consciousness without the need for anything external.
That's wild. And
Yeah.
you don't need any special preparation to have a session with him, right?
Nope, he mentions that anyone can do it.
Okay, cool.
And this goes back to the belief aspect we were talking about earlier.
Right.
He says it works regardless of your current mental state or level of experience.
Interesting.
The work happens below the conscious mind, so your beliefs or anxieties don't really interfere with the process.
So walk me through a typical session.
Okay.
What actually happens?
It's pretty straightforward. There's an explanation of shamanism, some intake questions to understand your needs,
Okay.
then the tracking we were curious about,
Right.
and finally the energetic work itself.
And then afterwards, is there like time to debrief and ask questions?
Yeah, exactly. There's time for that as well.
Okay, cool. And how long does all this take?
Right.
I imagine with all those layers, it must be a pretty lengthy session.
He says the average is about an hour and a half. Okay.
But it can go longer depending on what comes up during the tracking.
I see.
So if you have like some deep-seated energetic blocks or a lot going on, be prepared to spend a bit more time on the table.
Okay, so we've got the session basics down.
Yeah.
But what really sets Rasmussen apart from other shamans,
Right.
from what we've seen so far, he seems to draw from many traditions and techniques.
Yeah, that's what's so intriguing about his approach.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just specialize in one type of shamanic practice.
Okay.
He's synthesized this comprehensive system that incorporates multiple lineages techniques and even different levels of healing all in one.
Wow.
You get the benefit of what might traditionally be several sessions condensed into a single powerful experience.
That's incredible. And his those energetic initiation rites,
Right.
they seem to play a significant role in how he works.
Yeah, it would be fascinating to know more about that lineage and what kind of knowledge or power is passed down through those initiations.
Yeah. definitely. That's a whole other deep dive we could do. Absolutely.
So let's say you've had your session.
Okay.
What happens next? Does he just send you on your merry way?
Not quite. He doesn't just leave you hanging after all that energetic work.
Okay, good.
He provides some simple homework exercises to help you integrate the experience and continue the momentum.
Right.
And clients are welcome to contact him with any questions or if anything comes up afterwards.
That's great. It shows a real commitment to supporting the client through the process.
Exactly. He's there for you every step of the way, which can be really reassuring when you're dealing with such profound shifts.
Yeah, for sure. But that brings up an interesting question.
Okay.
How long do the effects of a session last?
Right.
Is it a one and done kind of thing?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too.
And if it's not, how many sessions do people typically need?
Yeah, it does vary. Great questions. And this is where things get really interesting. Rasmussen explains that the energetic shifts you experience from the session are permanent.
Oh, wow. So it's like a lasting change.
Yeah, kind of like clearing out old software, you know?
Yeah.
That's been slowing down your system.
Right.
But he also emphasizes that maintaining those shifts is important.
Okay, so it's not like a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's more like keeping your software updated.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put in a little effort to keep things running smoothly.
So what kind of maintenance are we talking about here?
He doesn't get too specific,
Okay.
but it seems like it's about continuing the work you started in the session,
Mm-hmm.
maybe those homework exercises he mentioned,
Right.
or incorporating new practices into your daily life.
So it's about conscious evolution, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. So
Yep.
it's a partnership. He clears the path, but you have to walk it.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
But I'm still curious about the results themselves.
Okay.
What kind of changes do people actually experience?
That's where things get really fascinating.
Ooh, tell me more.
He mentions that some results are immediate,
Okay.
like a feeling of lightness or clarity,
Hmm.
while others unfold gradually over time.
Interesting. So it's not always like a bam in your face kind of transformation.
Not necessarily. It's more like planting a seed.
Okay. I like that analogy.
You might not see the sprout right away,
Yeah.
but with the right conditions, it'll eventually blossom.
So what are some of the common blossoms people report?
Haha. Well, he doesn't say people start levitating or anything.
Okay, good to know. I was kind of hoping for superpowers, though.
Maybe in another lifetime.
Right.
But seriously, he talks about people experiencing things like improved relationships, increased creativity,
Interesting.
the deeper sense of purpose,
Wow.
even physical healing.
So it really runs the gamut.
Yeah, it does. What's interesting is that he doesn't promise specific outcomes.
Okay.
Instead, he focuses on creating the energetic conditions for positive change to occur.
So whatever that looks like for the individual,
Exactly.
that makes sense.
Looking.
You can't predict exactly how the energy will manifest.
Right. It's like he gives you the tools,
Yeah.
but you create the masterpiece.
I love that. But here's something I'm wrestling with.
Okay.
What if someone is deeply skeptical?
Hmm.
Like really skeptical?
Yeah, right.
Can this work for them? I mean, Rasmussen being a skeptic himself is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but can his clients be too?
You know, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it speaks to a common misconception about shamanism,
What's that?
that you have to believe in it for it to work.
Right, right.
But as we've been discussing, Rasmussen challenges that notion.
Okay.
He says it operates below the level of the conscious mind,
Mm.
meaning your beliefs, whether positive or negative,
Mm-hmm.
don't really impact the energetic process.
So you could go into a session thinking it's all a bunch of hocus pocus
Yeah,
and still experience profound shifts.
that's what he's saying, yes.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
It's almost like he's bypassed the mind altogether
Mm-hmm.
and is working directly with the energetic blueprint,
Okay.
kind of like rewiring the electrical system of a house.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to understand electricity for it to work right.
Right.
It just does.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Good.
But this brings up another question.
Okay.
We live in a world where people identify with many different spiritual beliefs and practices.
Right.
Can anyone benefit from this, regardless of their background?
Absolutely. He emphasizes that shamanism is compatible with any belief system.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not a religion
Right.
or dogma.
Okay.
It's a set of practices and techniques for working with energy.
Gotcha. So you don't have to convert to a certain belief system to benefit from it.
Exactly. He's worked with clients from all walks of life.
Like what kind of people?
Religious folks,
Mm.
atheists,
Okay.
spiritual seekers, you name it.
That's really cool. It makes shamanism feel more accessible, less exclusive.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's not about converting to a certain belief system. It's about harnessing the power of energy, whatever your personal lens might be.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all making a lot of sense.
Good.
But I have a confession.
What's that?
Part of me still thinks, isn't this all just placebo effect?
The placebo effect.
Yeah. I mean, if you're expecting to feel better, maybe you just convince yourself that you do.
Right. But I think Rasmussen's explanation of working directly with the energy body challenges that notion.
How so?
He's not just influencing your thought.
Okay.
He's working on a level that's beyond the mind's perception.
Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
I know it's a bit of a mind bender.
It is. But it does make sense that if the work is happening on an energetic level, your beliefs or expectations wouldn't necessarily dictate the outcome.
Exactly. It's like if you have a broken leg.
Okay.
Setting the bone isn't a placebo effect just because you believe it will help you heal.
Right.
The physical intervention is what's creating the change.
Yeah.
Regardless of your belief system.
Okay.
It's similar with shamanism, just on a different level of reality.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what about remote sessions?
Okay.
Are they as effective as in-person ones?
Yeah, that's a common question.
I mean, I'd want to be in the same room with a shaman.
Right.
Feel their energy.
I get that. But Rasmussen addresses this directly in his FAQ.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. He says remote sessions are just as effective.
Really?
Because he's working with the energy body, which is not bound by physical distance. Think of it like a phone call.
Okay.
You can talk to someone across the world just as clearly as you can talk to someone in the same room.
Right.
It's the connection that matters, not the proximity.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing. So the energetic connection transcends physical space.
Exactly. He even mentions people having full-blown sessions in their dreams.
Whoa, that's next level.
It really pushes the boundaries of what we typically think of as possible.
For sure. But if we're talking about energy, and energy being non-local, then theoretically anything is possible.
Right.
Okay? I'm with you. But this brings up a question that always makes me a little uncomfortable.
What's that?
What about working on someone without their knowledge? It seems ethically questionable, right?
Right.
Like, shouldn't people consent to having this kind of work done on them?
That's a valid concern, for sure.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Rasmussen addresses this in his FAQ.
Okay, good.
He makes a clear distinction between shamanism and sorcery.
Okay.
He emphasizes that a true shaman works with the individual's free will and never tries to manipulate or control them.
So even if someone requests a session for someone else, he wouldn't do anything that violates their autonomy.
Exactly. He might offer the work to their energy field, but ultimately it's up to the individual soul to accept or reject it.
So it's about empowerment, not coercion.
Precise.
That aligns with everything else we've learned about his approach.
Yeah.
It's about facilitating healing and transformation, not imposing it.
Right.
Speaking of imposing, I have to ask, does he work on babies or children?
He does.
Really? That seems tricky.
He says his work is effective on babies, children, and even animals.
Hold on, animals too. Like my dog could have a shamanic session.
Apparently so.
That's amazing.
He mentions that animals often take on the energetic burdens of their owners.
Oh, wow.
So working with them can be beneficial.
Interesting.
He even works on objects, houses, land.
Whoa. From babies to buildings, he's got it covered.
It seems like it.
But I have to wonder, with all this amazing work he's doing, shouldn't he be offering it for free? That's an interesting question.
I mean, traditionally, shamans were part of the community, right?
Yes.
Providing their services in exchange for food and shelter.
Right.
So why charge money?
That's a great point, and one that Rasmussen dives into in his FAQ.
Okay, so what does he say?
He acknowledges that traditional shamans were often supported by their communities. But in today's world, things are a bit different.
Right. He can't barter his services for a bag of rice and a place to sleep anymore.
Exactly. So how does he navigate this whole money thing?
Right. That's what I'm wondering.
He says that while he's willing to work for free, if absolutely necessary,
he also needs to make a living like everyone else.
Of course, yeah.
And he explains that even in traditional cultures, there was always an exchange of energy. Clients would offer gifts or services in return for the shaman's work.
So it's about maintaining a balance.
Yes, a reciprocal flow of energy.
But how does that translate to money?
Right. It feels kind of transactional, you know?
Yeah, a bit.
He addresses that too.
Okay.
Saying that while money is the dominant form of exchange in our society, it doesn't have to be a purely transactional thing.
Okay.
It can be seen as a way of honoring the energy exchange, acknowledging the value of the work
Right.
and ensuring that both parties are energetically balanced.
I see. So what's his fee structure like? Does he have a set price?
He provides a figure for guidance,
Okay.
but emphasizes that he's flexible and doesn't want finances to be a barrier.
Oh, that's good.
He even mentions that some clients looking back wish they could have given him thousands for the impact his work had on their lives. It seems like he truly cares about making this accessible to anyone who feels called to it.
That's heartwarming.
Yeah,
It sounds like he's walking the talk,
I agree.
embodying that shamanic spirit of service and generosity.
Yeah. It's refreshing to see someone who's not just in it for the money,
Mm-hmm.
but genuinely wants to help people transform their lives.
This has been such an incredible exploration of Shaman John Rasmussen's approach to shamanic energy medicine.
It really has.
We've covered so much ground,
Yeah, we have.
from session logistics to
Yeah.
ethical considerations to the very nature of energy itself.
And what's most striking to me is how Rasmussen has demystified shamanism,
Yeah.
making it practical, approachable, and relevant to our modern lives.
Absolutely. He's taken these ancient practices and woven them into a system that's both profound and accessible.
I'm with you. It's not some esoteric woo-woo thing reserved for a select few.
Right.
It's a powerful modality for healing and transformation that's available to anyone who's ready to embark on the journey.
And he doesn't shy away from the big questions,
Not at all.
like the role of belief,
Right.
the ethics of working on others,
Yeah.
and even the complexities of money and energy exchange.
Exactly. He's addressing those real-world concerns head-on,
Yeah.
which makes his work feel even more grounded and relatable.
It's like he's saying, shamanism is here, it's real, and it can help you no matter who you are, what you believe, or where you come from.
And that's a powerful message.
It is,
Hmm.
especially in a world that often feels divided and disconnected.
For sure. This has been an eye-opening and, dare I say, even inspiring conversation.
It has.
Yeah.
What stands out most for you?
For me, it's the idea that we all have the potential to heal and transform, not just on a personal level,
Yeah.
but also collectively.
Right.
And that shamanism, with its focus on energy and interconnectedness,
Mm.
can play a vital role in this process.
I love that. It's like we're all connected by these invisible threads of energy.
Yeah.
And when one of us heals, we all heal a little bit.
Beautiful. And Rasmussen, with his unique approach,
Yeah.
is helping to weave those threads back together.
Creating a tapestry of healing and wholeness.
Beautifully said. And if you're curious to explore this further,
Yeah,
I highly recommend visiting the Soul Algorithm website.
definitely.
Yeah.
You'll find a link in the show notes.
It's an incredible resource for anyone who wants to learn more about Shaman John Rasmussen's work
Yes,
and explore the possibilities of shamanic energy medicine.
sure. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a new and fascinating topic.
Sounds good.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of life.
You know, as we've been talking about all this stuff about Shaman John Rasmussen's work, one thing that keeps coming back to me is this whole idea of personal responsibility.
That's interesting. You're right. It does seem like he emphasizes that a lot in his approach.
Yeah, he's very clear that shamanism is not about just giving up responsibility for our lives.
Right. Like it's not going to magically fix everything.
Exactly. It's not a magic button,
Yeah, he even uses that phrase magic button in the FAQ. Yeah, I noticed that too.
which I thought was kind of funny.
It's easy to think that way though, right?
Yeah.
Like someone else can just come in and fix us.
Especially with something like shamanism.
Right. It sounds so powerful and mysterious.
You just want to believe that it can solve all your problems.
But what Rasmussen seems to be saying is that real healing,
Yeah.
it comes from within.
It has to start with you.
Yeah, it's about empowering the individual to really take charge of their own journey.
So he's like the guide on the side.
Exactly. He provides the tools, the insights, the energetic clearing.
He gives you a boost
Yeah, but ultimately it's up to each person to do the work.
to integrate it all and make the changes stick.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's a really empowering message.
It is. It means we're not just victims of our circumstances, you know?
Exactly. We have the power to choose how we respond to stuff.
How we heal, how we create the lives we
It's
want.
very inspiring.
This reminds me of something else he said about the energetic work being permanent, but also needing to be supported. Like, you can't just go back to your old ways and expect things to stay the same.
Right. It's not about being perfect.
No.
Or living some unrealistic, super healthy lifestyle.
But you do have to put in some effort.
It's about recognizing that we have a role to play in maintaining those shifts.
So it's like he gives you a jump start,
Uh-huh.
clears the path for you,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to keep walking.
Exactly. And that brings us back to that idea of partnership.
Yeah, the shaman and the client working together.
It's a team effort, for sure.
It really highlights the fact that shamanism isn't a one-time thing.
It's an ongoing journey.
You're always evolving and growing.
This has been such a cool deep dive, really fascinating stuff.
I agree. We've learned so much about Shaman John Rasmussen's world.
It's amazing how he combines ancient wisdom with modern techniques.
Yeah, he's created something really unique.
It's both grounded and transformative at the same time.
I think that's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah, he's not afraid to tackle the big questions.
He's not. Like, about belief and ethics, even money.
It makes you feel like he's really thought this through, you know?
He has.
Yeah.
And it makes his work that much more relatable.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to learn more.
Me too. If you're intrigued by what you've heard today,
Yeah, if any of this resonates with you.
I highly recommend checking out the Soul Algorithm website.
You can find a link in the show notes.
It's a great resource for anyone who wants to explore the world of shamanic energy medicine.
Definitely. And a big thanks to all of you for joining us on this journey.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of life.